Looking at our numeracy achievement data, it was apparent that our students, like many others across the state, didn't do well in problem solving in that plan, and this was backed up by our PATM data. It was really important for us to pull back though to the 4 maths proficiencies of fluency, understanding, problem solving and reasoning, rather than just focusing on problem solving. We then looked at what evidence we had around the teaching of numeracy through performance management discussions, instructional rounds, and the use of the resources across ARTA 7. It became apparent that we really needed to build teacher capacity and improve engagement. Students engage better in lessons that they enjoy, and teachers enjoy teaching where they're more confident and have more content knowledge. We had levers of improvement in our site improvement plan. These were to embed effective whole school practices, improve pedagogical content knowledge, establish data analysis processes, strengthen PLCs and engage purposefully with the community. When we applied these to our numeracy priority, this led to a whole site approach, engaging really rigorously with TEFL to develop the PCK, analysing and tracking individual student progress and utilising PLCs to develop a really personalised professional learning approach. For sustained improvement, our site improvement plan really had to become our working document. Teachers and SSOs had been involved in target setting for the plan, but they then really needed to have their own copy, where they highlighted their strengths, areas where they could mentor others, as well as areas for development and improvement. Now that we knew what we wanted to achieve, our next step was to really focus on how we were going to get there. Our theme for our next Student Free Day was on tracking and monitoring individual student growth. We carried out a maths audit of 524 students. Questions were around their learning disposition for maths, not really to do with their achievement, but how they felt about maths lessons. We graphed their responses and then we presented individual class data to teachers at the start of the Student Free Day. We introduced the notion of a class data wall as well. It was really important for us to put faces on data to get that emotional connection to what we were trying to achieve. The class data walls track the progress of every student towards their own target. The targets remain private between teacher and student. They're not made public, but we wanted to focus on the fact that every student can grow, and in order to really see that growth mindset in action, we wanted to track progress across a 5-week period, that every student could improve their learning in this time. We then provided 7 different workshops on the Student Free Day based on teacher identification of what they wanted to focus on the site improvement plan. That formed our plan for the Term 3 PLCs, where pairs or small PLCs will then be working on their own professional development. So in Term 3, teachers will be learning in their pairs or small groups in like areas of professional development choice, rather than just by year level. This learning will also be supported and monitored through performance management discussions in Term 3. And we'll redo the maths disposition audit with students at the end of the term to look for changes. With each classroom now having its own data wall, the teachers are really embracing the focus on developing intrinsic motivation in students. Each teacher therefore already has their first 5-week literacy and numeracy target for each student in their class. They've tangibly put faces on the data. They're really focusing on distance travelled, and that all students have the ability to learn. When we're reviewing and evaluating improvement, we now have multiple sources of data from which we'll be able to evaluate the impact of pedagogical changes, but our approach is cyclical. We're constantly reflecting and refining to stay on course, with student engagement and progress as our main indicator, our formative assessment evidence. We've taken short video clips of students from reception to Year 7, talking about setting their targets or talking about tracking their progress on the data wall, and we'll be sharing these with staff to help maintain momentum and maintain that emotional connection so that we all remember why we're doing this. It was essential for us not to look for a program for numeracy improvement, but to get emotional buy-in from stakeholders, to make sure the professional learning is individualised, to personalise and connect, and to have accountability measures that focused on being equitable so that we had buy-in from every stakeholder. My advice is to really plan for every learner to improve, to know that every student can grow in their learning and that every teacher can improve, and that we have multiple points of entry, but we're all heading in the same direction. Our leadership team PLC is very focused on strong pedagogical beliefs in that every student can learn, and we really operate from a growth mindset. That makes it easy to be consistent across the school, so that all teachers are getting the same message no matter who their line manager or team leader is, and there's no confusion about where we're heading at all. The leadership team regularly meet and reflect and argue and criticise each other and offer constructive criticism, and I think that's really important to have all those different viewpoints. So we trial things really well in the leadership team and really make sure that we've got clarity and consistency before we then take ideas to staff. And I think we've developed a really strong trust amongst staff by behaving in that way, that we really walk the talk.